During the Great Rally for Peace and Democracy held on Wednesday in Cali, Colombia, President Gustavo Petro called for dialogue after attacks in the southwest of the country. An Air India flight carrying at least 242 people crashed shortly after taking off from the city of Ahmedabad, leaving reportedly one survivor. And thousands of activists worldwide arrived Thursday in Cairo, Egypt, in a humanitarian caravan bound for the Gaza Strip to demand the entry of aid to Palestine. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Belén de los Santos. I'm from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. We now begin with the information. During the Great Rally for Peace and Democracy held on Wednesday in Cali, Colombia, President Gustavo Petro called for dialogue after attacks in the southwest of the country. During the rally, Petro addressed the people to reject the recent violent attacks that took place in Cauca, Valle del Cauca, and Cali. He also denounced that an attempt was made to silence this region with terror and fear, leaving dozens of people injured and dead, including civilians and members of the security forces. Likewise, he highlighted the history of social struggles and proposed to recover that memory to build a country based on justice, dignified work, and participative democracy. Moreover, the head of state called for national unity, dialogue between opposing parties, and to continue fighting without violence for a more just and peaceful Colombia. We stay in Colombia as the Minister of Justice, Eduardo Montealegre, has made a statement regarding the issuance of Presidential Decree number 0639 that calls for a popular consultation to reform labor legislation. The Minister of Justice has identified at least 5 irregularities in the legislative process that violate the country's constitution. The denunciation arises after the vote of the bill in the Senate. Among the irregularities mentioned are the omission of the reading of the proposition and discrepancies in the vote count. Montealegre argued that the Congress of the Republic has openly violated the Colombian Constitution by issuing an unfavorable concept regarding the popular consultation.
Presidente de la República.
The President of the Republic signed a decree that calls for the popular consultation on August 7th, 2025. It is a decree that is signed by all the ministers of the office. The main foundation of the decree of the President of the Republic to summon the popular consultation by decree is that the Congress of the Republic openly violated the Colombian Constitution by rendering an unfavorable concept to the popular consultation.
We continue in Colombia as the Clinic Santa Fe Foundation reported on the health condition of Senator Miguel Uribe Turbay. Through a press release, the health entity informed that the Santa Fe de Bogotá Foundation informs at the request of the family that patient Miguel Uribe Turbay continues to be in intensive care. The monitoring and the various care measures implemented allows us to report stability with respect to the last clinical condition. He also remains in critical condition as reported. All efforts to mitigate the impact of the injuries continue to be made on a minute-by-minute basis. We now move on to other topics. Bolivian President Luis Arce affirmed that security forces will continue to clear out roadblocks across the country and that his government will resort to all its institutional powers to do so. The head of state regretted the death of 3 police officers during clashes with supporters of former President Evo Morales in the departments of Yayagua and Cochabamba. Arce assured that he will not allow those who do not want elections and who do not want democracy for the Bolivian people to win. He also called for the Colombian people's help against destabilization, anti-patriotism, and those who do not want the country to live in tranquility. The most recent report by the International Organization for Migration states that the number of people displaced in Haiti has increased by 24% in just 6 months. A report released on Thursday confirmed that the criminal group's violence has forced 11% of Haitian citizens to flee their homes. Amy Pope, the organization's Director General, reiterated that urgent action cannot be delayed. She stated that the strength and resilience of the Haitian people can no longer be taken advantage of. Moreover, the United Nations Children's Fund adds that 1 in 6 Haitian children has been displaced due to violence. The International Organization for Migration points out that shelters are overcrowded and that it is impossible to meet the most basic needs of all of these people. And the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America has appointed Rander Peña as its new executive secretary. Through an official statement, the bloc informed the appointment seeks to continue with the work undertaken to achieve the 2030 ALBA TCP strategic agenda, with special emphasis on the Agro-ALBA and ALBA Azul initiatives and the ALBA TCP Development Cooperation Agency. In this regard, the Bolivarian Alliance expressed to be grateful for the work and dedication of Mr. Jorge Arriaza Montserrat for making solid progress towards the objectives of the strategic agenda, giving new drive to ALBA TCP and wishes him success in his duties. The statement closes by expressing that the member countries congratulate the new executive secretary, who is entrusted with consolidating the proposals and tasks set forth by the heads of state and government and ministerial authorities, and express their full support for his new position. In this context, the former executive secretary of the bloc, Jorge Arriaza, addressed the decision through his Telegram account, expressing to be grateful to the government of the 10 member countries of the Bolivarian Alliance for the trust they have placed in us. We're confident that the new executive secretary, our brother Rander Peña, will be able to coordinate ALBA's actions to deepen our union and continue to bring dignity and happiness to our peoples. United for life, we will prevail. Now we have a short break coming up, but first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with more information. An Air India flight carrying at least 242 passengers and crew members crashed shortly after taking off from the city of Ahmedabad in the South Asian nation. Flight 171, a Boeing 787-8 aircraft, was headed to London's Gatwick Airport in the United Kingdom with reportedly 169 Indian nationals, 53 British, 7 Portuguese, and 1 Canadian on board. India's Minister of Civil Aviation informed that rescue teams have been mobilized, while the Army deployed 130 personnel, including doctors and paramedics, to assist civil authorities in clearing debris. The Ahmedabad police reported 1 survivor and unveiled that 240 bodies have been recovered from the site so far. The tragedy constitutes one of India's worst airline disasters in decades. The lone survivor from the plane crash has been identified by local media as 40-year-old British Indian citizen Bishwash Kumar Ramesh, who lives in London and was in the Indian town visiting family. The passenger who was reportedly lucid and conscious after sustaining impact injuries on his chest, eyes, and feet, still had his boarding pass for the flight. Doctors at the Ahmedabad Civil Hospital examined Ramesh and assessed he was disoriented but out of danger. While search operations continue, 240 bodies have been recovered, among them those of several medical students, as the plane crashed on top of a medical college. Also in this context, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi took to his social media X to address the accident, expressing that the tragedy in Ahmedabad has stunned and saddened us all. It is heartbreaking beyond words. In these sad hours, my thoughts are with everyone affected by it. Have been in touch with ministers and authorities who are working to assist those affected. Meanwhile, while addressing lawmakers in the House of Commons on Thursday, British Foreign Secretary David Lammy informed that a crisis team has been set up in both India and the UK following the crash.
Well, Mr. Speaker, my thoughts, and I'm sure those of the entire House, are with those who've been affected by the tragic plane crash in India this morning. We know that British nationals were on board, and Mr. Speaker, I can confirm that the FCDO is working urgently with local authorities to support British nationals and their families, and has stood up a crisis team in both Delhi and in London.
And as international reactions to the crash pour in, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel took to his Telegram channel to address the tragedy, expressing that the Cuban people's full support and solidarity with the government and the people of India following the tragic plane crash in the city of Ahmedabad. Our heartfelt condolences go to the families and loved ones of the victims. For his part, Venezuelan Foreign Minister Iván Gil sent a solidarity message to India in the aftermath of the sinister. Gil shared, "On behalf of President Nicolás Maduro, we extend our deepest condolences to the brotherly people of India and their government for the tragic plane crash that occurred on June 12th, which has plunged the entire nation into mourning. The bonds of brotherhood between Venezuela and India call on us to unite in mourning, to pray for those who have departed, and to wish for the speedy recovery of the injured." The Nicaraguan government has also expressed its solidarity with India following Thursday's plane crash. In this regard, an official statement reads, "We were shocked to learn of the tragedy that took the lives of over 200 people traveling from India to London. We convey our fraternal solidarity to all those affected and ask you to extend it to their communities and friends. We pray to God for relief from the pain of their absence. Our thoughts are with everyone affected." We now move on to other topics. Arrest numbers continue to rise after 6 days of demonstrations in the United States in rejection of President Donald Trump's immigration policies. A large-scale mobilization at Los Angeles City Hall was dispersed by police as a citywide curfew came into effect. According to a senior U.S. military official, troops deployed in the Californian city can temporarily detain individuals while law enforcement officers approach them. The Los Angeles District Authority has stated that it will defend the First Amendment rights of residents in the face of federal raids against the immigrant community. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverages, and much more. Follow the page and activate notifications to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Thousands of activists worldwide arrived on Thursday in Cairo, Egypt, in a humanitarian caravan bound for the Gaza Strip to demand the entry of aid to Palestine. Over 3,000 citizens from some 54 countries joined the relief convoy led by more than 1,500 activists from Tunisia. Such delegation planned to enter the Rafah border crossing on June 15th. Concurrently, the caravan of steadfastness remained in Libya, awaiting the approval of the Egyptian government to transit its territory and continue its passage towards the Gaza Strip. The caravan hoped to meet the other participants of the global march in Al Arish, some 50 kilometers from the border, although Cairo's authorities have not yet granted the necessary permits to reach there. In other news, both the Iranian Foreign Ministry and the Iranian Atomic Energy Organization have condemned the anti-Iranian resolution adopted by the International Atomic Energy Agency's Board of Governors. In a statement, the Iranian Foreign Ministry described the resolution as the board's new instrumental use for political objectives lacking technical and legal grounds. The statement further emphasized that none of the agency's reports refer to Iran's non-compliance with its obligations, nor to any deviations in nuclear materials or activities. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian confirmed that they would not bow to foreign injustices.
We will continue down our own path. We will have enrichment. We will build the country with these young people. And it is not as though if they destroy our facilities with bombs, everything is gone. All these capabilities are in our minds. And therefore, whatever they do, we will rebuild. I don't know how we should cooperate with the outside world to make them stop evil acts and let the people live independently in this country.
And we now move on to other topics. Russia and Ukraine carried out a new exchange of prisoners of war amid negotiations in the Turkish city of Istanbul. The Russian Ministry of Defense informed that a group of Russian prisoners of war returned this June 12th from captivity in Ukraine. At the same time, a group of Ukrainian servicemen was handed over to Kiev. The Russian servicemen are now on the territory of Belarus, where they are provided with the necessary psychological and medical assistance. Then they will be transferred to Russia to receive rehabilitation in medical facilities. And thousands of citizens celebrated Russia Day across the Eurasian nation with parades and festivals. The day commemorates the adoption of the Declaration of State Sovereignty of the Soviet Federative Socialist Republic of Russia within the framework of the Soviet Union on June 12, 1990. This initiated the constitutional reform and paved the way for the creation of the Russian Federation. On Russian Day, President Vladimir Putin awarded medals and state awards in the field of science, technology, literature, and art. During that ceremony, President Putin highlighted the challenges that the country faces to protect truth and justice.
It is important that today, when we celebrate this holiday and at the same time respond to difficult challenges, protect truth and justice, defend our traditional values, we think about the future, confidently set large-scale development goals for ourselves, move forward, and step-by-step reach new heights, build up the industrial, technological, and scientific power of Russia.
And in South Africa, heavy precipitations and snowfalls have led to some 57 fatal casualties in the past couple of days. Local outlets reported that the natural disaster mainly hit the Eastern Cape province with heavy rainfall, gusts and snow. Among the dead were some students who had been swept away by the current due to their school bus got trapped in a river in Mthatha city. In this context, the Eastern Cape Authority informed emergency crews were searching for the missing, while hundreds of residents had been evacuated and housed in community centers. And in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, more than 15,000 people are reported to be without drinking water due to fighting between rebels and militias in the province of North Kivu. According to local media, residents of localities such as Meleusa, Catrisa, and Quilambo have not received clean water supplies for several days because the collection system and distribution network were destroyed in the fighting between the M23 movement and the Wazalendo militia. In this context, many families are resorting to untreated water sources, which can increase the risk of getting infected with several viruses, including cholera. In South Sudan, Upper Nile State is at risk of famine in 2 of its counties. Political observers pointed out that the violence is preventing the arrival of humanitarian aid, deeply affecting the counties of Nasir and Ulang, putting them at risk of famine, while 11 other regions are in an emergency situation due to clashes between the army and local militias. They also emphasized that 57% of the country's population suffers from serious food needs. The World Food Programme, for its part, lamented the devastating impact of the conflict, assuring that it not only destroys homes and livelihoods, but also breaks up communities, hinders access to markets, and causes prices of basic goods to skyrocket. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, my name is Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.